This is TWiT.
Microsoft has made a redesigned Outlook available for free to all Mac users. No longer do you have to buy Microsoft 365. It is Apple Silicon based. I, of course, because I'm a dedicated journalist, downloaded it, installed it, got a little throw up in my mouth, and then deleted it. But
I'll tell you something crazy. I may actually install Outlook on my computer.
Why?
And here's why. The Exchange causes so much damage in mail for me that I think that I would like to just put anybody who interacts with me in Exchange and my company has Exchange server. Here's the problem is that there's certain things that Exchange does that nothing else does.
Right.
And it ruins, if you're in dark mode in mail, what happens is Exchange explicitly defines the text color. It doesn't allow it to, or it can. You can get into a state where it's defining that. And so people will start, especially when people start coloring the text inside of their thing, which is evidently a Windows thing that people do all the time, drives me crazy. So people they start coloring names of this person and this person to make it stick out. Well, the problem is you make that dark blue over and it defines that as dark blue and I can't see it.
What happens if you use Apple's Mail? It just doesn't show up?
It just shows up. So there's a couple things. One is that it is Apple Mail just dark over dark, and so you can't see what they're doing. Great. And then the way it handles threads is just a disaster. The Exchange servers managing of threads inside of mail is just and it doesn't happen anywhere else. Google Mail and all these other mail servers that don't have a problem with it, but Exchange just destroys it. And then the other thing that happens, which is unique, is that if you I create a lot of folders. So I create rules in folders. Put this here, put this here, put this here, put this here. I cannot do that if the person I'm talking to has an Exchange server, because it will copy it into a folder. And for whatever reason, however it deals with the Exchange server, it comes out as no content. So literally I see that they sent me an email and I have to go to my phone to figure out what they did. So I had to pull it all out. So I have to leave all my Exchange interactions in the main feed inside of Mail, because Mail, whatever I'm going to assume it's an Exchange server doing something funky, because everything else works. Every other mail service I use works except for Exchange, and it will not pass the content of the stuff to another folder inside of Mail. So as a result, I have been looking at I might just take my work email, because a lot of for whatever reason, both 090 and a lot of our clients are on the Exchange server, and it kind of screws up my mail. So I was thinking, I'll just take all the Exchange people and put them in Outlook.
And you can use Outlook. I connected it to Fastmail, and you can use it for your calendar contact and for email. It works with IMAP. But you would say just use it for the. How can
I'm just going to use it for people that I
just
people that I deal
email.
with. I would just open it I'll just use it for my work mail. I'll just put it in there by itself and not have any of the other stuff there. And then I just check it. It just means I'll check it less, because one has all these emails coming in, and then the other one, I got to open that up and take a look at it. So
agreement from IRC. Knox Harrington says, if you need to log into an Exchange server, it's still much better to use Outlook. Exchange is Microsoft's own mail server. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, even though other services definitely support it. I think I actually had that as my pick of the week. Because
sorry.
I thought that that's okay. But because I do use Outlook as my mail provider. I've been using it for 5 or 10 years. Actually, very, very.
Outlook.com.
Well, no, I've Microsoft Office. My transferred my email domain to Outlook back when the one that I've been using for 15 years suddenly, maybe 50 megabytes of mail storage is not enough for me. Maybe I should find something that. But the thing is, it's a really good sign, because it is. I wasn't using it until a couple of months ago, because it was the typical Microsoft sort of arrogant user interface design, or rather, hey, because this is an Office type app, it has to run the same way on every single operating system. So as a result, on Mac, it really looked vomit inducing. It was really, really hey, everyone has bigger screens. That means we can put more buttons and more drop down menus and more things in here to make things more complicated. But they did streamline the design. It looks a lot more Mac like. It supports a lot more of the built-in interface now. It sits alongside all of your other productivity apps really, really nicely. And I'll have to say that in terms of when you're getting a real industrial amount of email every single day, every single week, I like Outlook for its ability to really have intense tools for clearing it up and triaging things and scheduling things. I think it's a nice app, and now it's nicer to use, and it's free. You don't have to pay a monthly fee to use it.
Do they call it Inbox Sweep still? What do you use that? What is it that you use?
Yeah. Well, I like that it basically has two switches, rather two switches on your inbox. One in which stuff that it's pretty sure this is stuff that you want to know, and then the stuff where it looks like this is bulk email, not necessarily spam, but stuff that is not necessarily personalized towards you. And I found that to be very, very effective. The anti-spam features they've gotten a little bit squirrely in the past month, but that just shows how well the anti-spam has worked before then. That the fact that I'm noticing a couple of spam emails out of like hundreds of emails a day, that shows you how well it was working before. I think that mail.app works great, but the way that most people get to use it in a power sort of position is when they learn how to integrate it with other Apple technologies, other Mac technologies, like again, making it part of a workflow or putting it into Automator or something like that. All the people who really use mail.app in that sort of same industrial sort of way are people who've customized it with their own scripts and their own workflows, which is great. I haven't actually tried workflows and stuff with Outlook yet. I don't know what the support is, but mail is something where it really is like dipping my hand into fire. Like I want to get my hand out of there as quickly as possible. So the idea of building tools to work on my mailbox is not something that I'm really inclined to do. So I'm not saying it's the greatest Outlook. It's not the greatest mail client that's ever been made for the Mac necessarily. I think that's going to be a very individualized decision, but I think that it's actually very, very good. It's no longer the afterthought. Well, okay, well we just the few last holdouts were using Mac on a network, on an Office network that we haven't managed to lobotomize yet. We'll throw them a bone and let them use like the Windows 95 version of Outlook. It's actually a very good app, I think.
Jason, anything you want to say about Outlook?
I used to use it. Great. Like, I mean, I remember Entourage. That was also a thing. I think it's cool for them to make it free. I'm an Office
Entourage
person.
There's a name.
Entourage.
I have not heard.
There's a name I have not heard.
Crossing the streams. You're crossing the streams. We're in Lord of the Rings mode.
Sorry,
I introduced the Ghostbusters. I made it worse.
In a thousands of years ago in Middle Earth, there was an entourage, a fellowship, or an entourage, if you will, of the Ring. How about that? There you go. It's the entourage of the Ring.
One of them was played by Matt Dillon.
Yeah, it's a more bro-ier version of Lord of the Rings.
Hey, I'm Rod Pyle, editor-in-chief of Ad Astra Magazine, and each week I join with my co-host to bring you This Week in Space, the latest and greatest news from the final frontier. We talk to NASA chiefs, space scientists, engineers, educators, and artists, and sometimes we just shoot the breeze over what's hot and what's not in space, books, and TV. And we do it all for you, our fellow true believers. So whether you're an armchair adventurer or waiting for your turn to grab a slot in Elon's Mars rocket, join us on This Week in Space and be part of the greatest adventure of all time.